I thought I had them. Thank you, sir. Okay. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to push start. I guess the red button. Oh, it's already on? Are we online? Oh. Thanks for the warning there. Ryan, our producer, sneaking one in on me there. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us here at Hyperbaric Plus, the Hyperbaric Chamber. Man, did we have a great dive. That was fun. A lot of people learned a lot of things in there. We had a new person that kind of opened up today, and I think he got a little overwhelmed with all the information he's been looking for, and he found it. And what a neat deal that I just saw the light bulbs going off and everybody wanting to help. So I'm Paul at Hyperbaric Plus. This is Keith Bishop with Prevail Over Cancer, and we're going to follow up on where we stopped last week. Don't know that we have any questions in front of us yet. Or do you want to just take off where we left off?
I'll give a little summary.
Okay,
I'll give a little summary from last week. So we're talking about kidney function. And so this is an item that is not directly related to cancer, but we all have a tendency to develop kidney problems. As we're getting older, our body is aging, and I follow tests all the time and see the GFR numbers going down and the creatinine levels going up with age. In fact, people with cancer also have kidney problems. They can. It's just a part of a normal aging process, but some of us have more problems because we may be exposed to chemicals or medications and or poor circulation. So overall, that's the main thing that we're trying to do. So matter of fact, what we're working on is actually trying to get a more of a, like a, let's call it a renal repair program going. And so,
well, what can you change? I mean, if you're looking at those numbers all the time, what can you change? And then people are wanting to introduce different things, hyperbarics, your nutrition path. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can continue to tweak.
Yes.
If you're assessing.
That's
Don't guess, assess.
Exactly. So
your favorite term.
Yeah, we want to make all these little changes. So there's several things that affect the kidneys. And so I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of a summary from last week, but everything
Since you're talking, before you jump forward,
Yes.
I want to interrupt you on something, because you told me something last week that blew my mind.
Oh, okay.
You had a client that the PSA numbers were totally in the normal range, but over his last 3 years, the PSA was going up, just very little, but it was going up.
Right.
And you said you suggested to him to dig a little deeper, and indeed he had cancer.
Sure.
And all of his numbers were in the range.
Yeah, he was in the normal range. That's right. So we have to look at that pattern. The same thing. So like kidney, whether it be like the PSA numbers or cancer numbers, you have to have a baseline, and then you kind of look at that with age. And well, every year, like this gentleman, I was following him, and every year we kept seeing his PSA going up, a little bit. And actually, in the PSA cancer area, they say a doubling time. So in a year, if your PSA doubles within a year, that's a major problem. Well, his doubled within a year, but it's still normal. And the doctors blew it off.
They didn't, because it was within range.
He's still in the range, okay? But matter of fact, that's actually a greater concern for a younger person. And so as men get older, they're going to have a greater tendency to have problems. It's more of a slower growing. There's actually different types of prostate cancer. And so that's right. Yeah, exactly. How many of us know that? How many times are they telling us that? We don't have that. Women do find out about different types of breast cancer. There's actually 3, but up to 5 different types of prostate cancer. And they are different, and they should be treated different, and they're not. So they're not evaluating that.
So I had a friend of mine, and he had prostate cancer. That's all he ever said. He had prostate cancer, and he lived with it. He did the Whole Orange, or the Whole Lemon was a book that was out back then, and so he started down that path. And he said, my doctor said I'll probably live with this the rest of my life. And now he's 90 years old.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but there is also some aggressive prostate cancer. You just got to know what you're dealing with.
That's right. Yes. And so my family history is actually that early onset. And so, and it's actually starting in the 50s, but the 2 generations before me didn't know. And so, and then by the time they were 60, it was too late. And so actually in my wife's family, the same thing.
Do you
So-
check yours?
Yes, I checked mine. And so, yes, actually, so I'm being very aggressive
Uh-huh.
and because my PSA is not optimal. And so one side of the family, cancer, the other side, enlarged prostate. And so I'm not blessed. And so
You are full of genetic problems.
yeah, I am full of genetic
I'm
problems.
glad
We were
you
talking
finished
about,
it like that.
that's right. We were, I'm glad you
Yeah.
finished that statement. So, so genetics are important, but we have a tendency to inherit a problem, but then it's our lifestyle,
The
our
lifestyle,
food, and supplements that pull that trigger that allows it to express. So it's very important to do these other things to keep it from happening. So matter of fact, my PSA is coming down, and so yes, that's right, good. But when I add things in, sometimes it will go up, sometimes it'll go down. So I'm trying to do everything I can to keep that from being a problem. So back to the kidneys. So kidneys, assess and don't guess. Diabetes can be a risk factor, and because of decreased circulation. So circulation is paramount. Kidneys are not going to heal if you don't have circulation. Same thing. If you break a bone, it's going to heal. But if you don't have good circulation to that bone, it's not going to heal very fast. It's going to be very stubborn type of a thing. So in athletics, if they have an injury, they're doing everything they can to improve circulation. We have to do the same thing with the kidneys. So diabetes damages the blood vessels, decreases blood supply, and then the kidneys start choking out, if you want to think of it that way. They're not getting nutrients. Vascular disease, hypertension. Hypertension, high blood pressure, is one of those signs of decreased circulation. And so therefore the kidneys, same thing. And then kidneys actually make chemicals that have lower blood pressure. Genetically, some people have a problem with that. And so I have to take a supplement to help compensate for a chemical my kidneys don't make for blood pressure. When I was young, my blood vessels were soft enough and flexible and adapted. Now I'm older and now things are not as good. My blood vessels are not as flexible. And so now I have to take an herbal product to help me compensate for that.
I hope there's a simple question to this, but you said something last week that blew me away.
Another statement.
A kidney disappeared.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So what would that look like in labs before it disappeared?
Well, yeah.
Where would you see that you're in trouble?
They found out because her creatinine number was going up and her GFR was going down. So that's how they started doing the studies. And so just all of a sudden, things started, well, I say all of a sudden. For me, it was all of a sudden, and for her, but she hadn't been testing because she was healthy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering is
Right.
Where would that show up that you've lost a kidney not even knowing?
Yeah, and so, but it was actually happening. It wasn't just like an instant type thing. We can survive with one kidney.
So the kidney was inside, it lost function.
Well, the kidney essentially, atrophied and disappeared.
Yeah,
Oh, he actually
Yeah.
disappeared?
Yeah, it actually disappeared.
I've
Oh,
never heard
wow.
when he said that. I was
And
like, wow.
because of probably an atherosclerosis type plaque issue inside the blood vessels. Matter of fact, actually, that is used to be, I'm not sure if it's still officially that way, but there's also what's called essential hypertension, which means they don't know why you have high blood pressure.
Mhm.
Well, they're actually one of the first known reasons back in the 70s when I was actually learning about these type things. Actually, the renal artery plaque actually was the one thing that would increase blood pressure. As more and more plaque gets inside that renal blood vessel, now the kidneys are starting to die out and they're not making the chemicals to open up the blood vessels. So actually renal atherosclerosis is a known risk factor for hypertension. Okay, so once again, it comes back to the kidneys. So we got to provide everything, for the body, no matter what the health challenge. Inflammation, oxidative stress, so inflammatory chemicals that our body makes, and oxidative stress. And so if we're not eating enough fruits and vegetables, dark colored fruits and vegetables, there can be genetics involved in both of those items. So actually this gentleman with the prostate cancer, his interleukin-6, an inflammatory marker, was actually very high for a young person. And he didn't have arthritis. He was making a lot of inflammatory chemicals. So that was kind of setting up an environment that encouraged the cancer growth. Nephrotoxins are toxins that can damage the kidneys. This can include medications like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, other chemicals, mycotoxins can be an issue. And we're actually learning a lot about that in our sessions that we have here. Antibiotics are well known to be a problem, and certain antibiotics, not all, but certain ones. Contrast agents, so every time a person's going in for a scan, those are going through the kidneys. The kidneys have to get rid of that. So toxic metals, are toxins also. I mentioned aging and genetics, are going to be issues. Last week, we also talked about a unique protocol about actually camel's milk. And so there's some chemicals in camel's milk that help, probably what are called peptides. And so we're discussing peptides and learning about that. That's not
Is this real camel milk?
Real camel milk.
Oh.
Actually drinking like less than 2 cups of camel milk a day, along with tart cherry caps.
Camel milk?
Not here in Oklahoma. Actually, there are places in Oklahoma. I say not here in Oklahoma, but there are, aren't there?
Well, the one that's closest to us we're aware of, they have organic camel's milk in Kansas City, and they'll ship it and it's frozen.
Okay.
One of our clients that that's supposed to have called you already, did it for a while, but he was on powdered camel's milk. I only found out when he stopped and he brought me the powder. And I got to think that the powder is not going to give the same nutrition.
May not be quite as good. It's processed and heat involved, and some heat in that, so may destroy some of those. Probably what we call peptides.
Yep.
And so we're learning about peptides, and so even though there's one peptide that they actually isolate out of milk that actually helps with brain function, and is available as a supplement. So. But black seed oil and camel's milk, tart cherry caps and blueberry capsules, corn silk, there's a little protocol, and there's actually a little science behind it and in helping to improve kidney function. But also vitamin D3 and K2 help to pull plaque out of the blood vessels, decrease inflammation. Magnesium helps to relax blood vessels. And when blood vessels relax, they do this. Now we have better circulation head to toe. And let's see, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, is an antioxidant that repairs the body, detoxes, and helps get rid of toxic chemicals. Curcumin is an anti-inflammatory. Matter of fact, there's actually a lot of research on all these items I'm talking about. Also, by the way, I have a handout. This handout is available on my website on the Learning Center, and a free handout. But all of this is also based off of medical research. And when you type in kidney function, or renal disease, or chronic kidney disease, and you type these in, and all of these are showing up. And they are researching these items. Curcumin reduces inflammation and throughout the body. One of my favorite herbs and spices. Urolithin A is an item that our gut makes if we have the right bacteria in the gut. When we eat drink pomegranate juice, or eat pomegranates, the seeds, and walnuts, pecans. I'm missing the other one. I don't think I have it listed here. Our gut actually takes those polyphenols and makes urolithin A. Urolithin A helps improve circulation, helps the brain, reduces the risk of cancer, many different things. Cellular repair. Methylene blue also improves circulation, helps with energy production. So that's part of what we're trying to do, dilate the blood vessels and improve circulation throughout the body. So nitric oxide support. Nitric oxide opens up blood vessels. And so beet juice and celery juice are a couple of items on that. There's a saliva test. It's an inexpensive saliva, spit into a spoon, dip it in. Within 10 seconds, you know if you have low nitric oxide or not. If you do have low nitric oxide, that's another genetic thing. Evidently, I'm cursed with that. Mine is below depleted. And so therefore, my blood vessels don't open up as well. And so I have to exercise and have to eat these foods to help open up the blood vessels throughout the body. It's a simple test.
Or do hyperbaric.
Hyperbaric. Well, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. So the next area is hyperbaric. And so yes, so hyperbaric also helps improve circulation, opens up blood vessels. Extremely important. Once again, I can't stress that enough.
And since I brought it up, hyperbaric oxygen is a vasoconstrictor.
Okay.
So we're doing hyperbaric air. Nobody knows anything about hyperbaric air.
Yeah.
It's a vasodilator. It's because of the nitrogen load you're taking on being on 100% air.
Okay, but it takes enough of a pressure change and enough time.
Exactly. So hyperbaric air is going to create vasodilation. Just breathing air, unfortunately, doesn't create vasodilation.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the pressure.
We do have nitrogen in our air. We don't think of that. We think of oxygen.
78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% of all the noble gases.
Okay. So yeah, so we have a lot of nitrogen in the air. And so, by doing this therapy, it increases the nitrogen levels in the body, and the blood vessels take that nitrogen and dilate and open up to improve circulation. So, will a little home temp pressure thing work?
All pressure is good.
Okay.
But when you do what we call soft-sided chambers,
Okay.
the one you can see in the background here on our videos, what we call a hard chamber,
right?
And that'll go to 6 atmospheres. The soft-sided chambers that are non-medical, they go to 1.3 atmospheres.
Okay.
Some of them go to 1.5. Some very expensive soft sides go to 2 atmospheres.
Okay.
But you don't see very many of those. They're very expensive.
I've not seen that.
If you're going to get into that, might as well get into a hard-sided. So,
okay.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, and then sauna therapy, which is something I do most days of the week. And so it is like exercise. Literally, my heart rate gets up to over 150, and I get red faced because the red comes from dilated blood vessels. Okay.
I feel prettier after.
You glow afterwards. Women glow.
I do feel like I glow.
Us guys perspire and sweat. Okay? Women glow and look pretty. Well, us guys are pretty ugly. I share some on social media. I share some posts and about what I look like after the sauna, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I represent that remark.
Okay, you represent that remark.
So the temperature in the sauna is important. I mean,
Yes.
to get up.
You have to get up
140.
high enough. Exactly. It's a time and temperature thing.
Okay.
And so, the higher the temperature, so if you can get up close to 150, 170, then you only have to be in there maybe 20 minutes. If you're at 130 degrees, it's going to take you 45 minutes or an hour to get hot enough to get that dilated vessel effect.
How do you monitor that core temperature while you're in?
Yeah, so I actually put a thermometer under my tongue. So yes, the sauna has a temperature gauge, but then I put a thermometer on my tongue. And so, matter of fact, I play with that, and so my heart rate was getting up pretty high, and I thought, well, maybe I'm running low on oxygen, so I'm going to open the vent up a little bit more and let more air in. And the temperature actually did better, but I was breathing more cooler air, and now I can't get my temperature up. And so I'm letting too much air in, and so I have to find that right spot. So assessing, so thermometer, and I get my temperature up to at least 101 under the tongue.
So that's kind of a downer with the people that used to do saunas where your head are sticking out of the sauna.
Well, it still might work,
Right.
but that's going to be more difficult.
You're going to have to take that into consideration.
Yes.
Man.
Well, and actually in cancer, they do a similar type thing. They actually put you in a contraption like that, and then actually put an air conditioning cap on to cool your brain, and then they crank your body temperature up to 109. So cancer cells start dying at 109.
They do that for Lyme too.
Okay.
So I'm just going to throw this out there on the cold plunge because everybody here knows 2-drop. So 2-drop takes everything to the extreme. He jumps in a cold plunge, and he's bragging about being able to stay in at near freezing for 15 or 20 minutes. Well, you don't do that and I read, he's telling me that, and then sometime later I read you got to be careful that you're going to hurt the brain. The dura, it doesn't like that long of a cold temperature.
Or extreme changes too, pressure changes, and all kinds.
So anyway, really look into how long you want to stay in these different types of temperature therapies,
right?
And don't overdo it.
Yes, that's
There's
right.
guidelines.
And so I'm pushing the sauna, and so my wife is actually my, my coach, and so she's aware. And when I get out of the sauna, I'm letting her know. so that she won't panic.
I have a regular sauna, just a dry sauna, but I do a 200
That's okay.
for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, check your temperature.
It needs to be how much?
Well, at least 101.
Okay.
102 is an optimal temperature, and actually that's ramping up your immune system at 102. It's kind of like having the flu.
Okay.
Okay. When you have the flu, your temperature gets up for a reason. Your immune system is cranking and works better at that elevated temperature.
And what do? We take all these
Tylenol,
drugs to get our
lower.
temperature
I'm
down.
not
So
to say
yeah,
brand names, but
you're supposed to push through that.
yeah,
My mom
exactly.
always says we
Push
gotta
through
get that sweat.
And so
Through-
in a blanket and sweating it out.
Mhm.
And usually I do very well with that.
We do.
And even in severe cases, it's like a day or two, I'm back, in the worst case scenario. So, but yes, I will encourage that sweat. So the sauna is very important. So a high temperature can be okay, but you have to be careful about that time and check your temperature to give you an idea about that. And then how red are you? Okay.
Glowing.
Yes. Okay. You're glowing. How
Glowing
glowing
red.
are you? Yeah, glowing red. Okay. So, so in cancer area, I'll focus on that just a second very quickly. But yeah, same thing actually with kidneys. Even there's what are called heat shock proteins. When we get up to that temperature, it actually flips a switch, and our body operates differently, and actually to fight cancer and to help out with kidney function. So they're called heat shock proteins, but we have to get the temperature up high enough. So that's why I do the thermometer. And then everybody's different, and even environment can be different. So when I turn the ceiling fan on, in my office and open that vent up, now I've got more air coming in that, and it's a different environment inside that sauna. So I have to adjust that time with that. Okay. And so last time we're getting ready to talk about red light therapy. And so red light therapy, and so this is kind of different, and I was not aware of that. But now I'm checking all health conditions. When a client comes to me, what about red light therapy? And sure enough, there's research going on using red light therapy to improve kidney function. And so it works by, helping the mitochondria inside the cells make energy. And if the cells have energy, now the little tiny cells inside the kidneys, the blood vessels that have cells in them have energy. They're going to function better, take in nutrients, they're going to relax better, open up better. So various different things. But it helps out with energy production, basically. It also is an anti-inflammatory, decreases several of those. One of those is interleukin 6, IL-6. And then also circulation. It releases nitric oxide. There comes that word again. So it helps improve nitric oxide, open up the blood vessels, and then oxidative stress brings down the damage to the cells in the body. So it does take, you have to put the red light therapy over the kidneys, and it depends on the strength of the unit. And so Paul at Hyperbaric.plus, he's got a strong unit. And so that one, you don't even have to be like 6 inches away or something like that. The cheapy one that I have, you have to be an inch, to try to get it, to penetrate over an inch deeper into the skin. Now, this is not just red light. This is near infrared. And that wavelength is going to be strong enough to penetrate the skin. And that starts at over 960 nanometers and over 1,000. The higher that number, the deeper it penetrates into the body.
I've not taken the time yet to find. I see a belt.
I have a belt.
So it's a pad, a belt, and you've used that quite a bit.
Yeah, especially after my surgery.
After her surgery, she used it. Okay.
And it kept warm, and it has NIR, like
yes,
near
NIR.
infrared.
It needs to say that it has NIR and have the wavelength listed to help with that. There's a question about how the quality of the product.
It was like $400.
Okay.
So $400 for a belt. And I'm just wondering, as you went through your kidney cancer, did you have deficit in kidney function on
No,
that
I
kidney?
never did.
Never had a deficit. So
yeah.
I'm talking about the reason I want to use the belt and see if we can move the needle is I got a lot of clients that have renal failure. And what will that do with hyperbarics? That's where the measurable results,
Yeah.
Keith is gonna help send
Right.
these guys to the lab and do labs
Test.
and see if we can't make those numbers better.
And so there are definitely some animal studies showing that NIR, helps out. And then a few small human studies are starting with that. So you do have to have that over the kidney area. Now there's one little word of caution, since a lot of my viewers on Instagram, have cancer. There's some controversy and concerns about potentially putting red light and NIR over a cancer tumor itself. There's some studies showing that it does help with energy production. Okay, we don't know, so there's unknown. So there's a disclaimer there on that. So putting it over a kidney tumor or over an area with a tumor, we don't know for sure. This is so new, we don't know enough information yet about using red light, or especially near infrared, over a cancer cell, okay, or tumors. So, but for prevention, I'm all about it. As a matter of fact, actually, I do have a webpage, a blog post rather, concentrating on near infrared and red light and cancer. And actually, there's a lot of research going on cancer, a lot of great potential benefits in research. But the main thing I'm using it for is actually for neuropathy, fingers, toes, hair, alopecia, hair loss from chemotherapy, neuropathy in the feet. It's amazing. Help open up those blood vessels, improve circulation. So I do use it for that. There actually is a lot of information. And actually, my blog post, as new information is coming out from the medical journals, I get notifications about that. I'm adding new things into that blog. That blog is changing every month.
The last number I saw, they're estimating 8,000 studies that are underway right now on red light therapy.
Yes.
Wow.
So how do you keep up with that?
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm narrowing it down to cancer. Okay. And then
So many benefits. They really do say that the healing of the future is light and frequency. So
yes, that's right. And frequencies and lights are very important.
Yeah.
On that. That is correct. So, and so kind of a protocol is that you have to have a high enough of a strength. It needs to be more like an NIR light. It has to be over 800 nanometers, and preferably closer to 1,000 or over, and use it over the kidneys, 10 to 20 minutes per session, and then using it for 3 to 5 times a week. And so it's not like one treatment, I'm done. No, it is more of a long-term type thing. And same thing with, no matter everything we're talking about for kidneys, it's not just a one-time deal. It's rare for actually a one-time thing to create the kidney damage. So the healing takes time, with that. So same thing with the hyperbaric, it's not going to be one treatment. It's going to be several treatments. I would personally think more like at least a couple of times a week. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you're chronic, if you have something really bad, at least 3 times a week.
Okay.
But in a maintenance, I got a lot of people that come once every 2 weeks, once
Okay.
a week, twice a week. I mean, everybody kind of finds their niche. What do I want to do?
But I
to
feel
go
for you to see any results, it's always good to do those 40 sessions that people talk about it. Like after 40 sessions, you really start.
Yeah,
Like my lab test after 40 sessions was really good.
Yeah, the protocol is for most anything that you're dealing with that's acute, then 40 sessions to find that maintenance schedule. 40
Okay.
sessions as fast as you can do them. And people, when we talk about that, I encourage you to go out and look at some of the other blogs and websites, because everybody talks about 40 sessions. That's not me trying to sell sessions. But once you get to that point, somewhere you come up on 40, then you start finding what is that maintenance balance.
So I wanted to, make a comment too, is that be sure and send a question. If you have a question, go ahead and send that to us, and we'll get that and answer that. If by chance we run out of time, I'll get onto the social media platforms and I'll answer those questions. And then here's a very quick summary. So we have to layer the foods and supplements, NIR therapy, for like short-term treatments, but long-term also. Hyperbarics, exercise, and sauna. Maintain glycemic load properly, meaning blood sugar levels, a pre-diabetes level, day after day after day is going to damage your kidneys. The number one cause of kidney disease is blood glucose problems. Diabetes is the number one cause of kidney disease and blindness in the United States. Same thing. So the eyes are the same thing. Same thing. It requires blood supply. So we have to be very careful about blood sugar because it damages the blood vessels. Supplement appropriately, the things that we talked about, and then monitor the labs. So labs are available. It's not very expensive. You can get those labs, but test, every month. So if your if your renal numbers are getting better, the GFR and the creatinine numbers. So you can make a change, say, okay, this month I'm doing this, and follow up with that test and make sure that's working.
And so many tests are affordable. The gentleman that was in the chamber with us just now dealing with cancer, never heard of testing for alkalinity and acidity.
Yeah, there's
levels.
And there's some basic things. Even
Yeah.
along that line, I didn't even go into that, but there's some basic things like alkalinity and acidity. And so if we're in an acid state, part of our kidneys' responsibility is getting rid of that acid out of our body, and that we breathe it out. Those are the two ways that we get rid of acid: breath and urine.
So like, the kidney will get the acidity out. What about the liver? What is the function for the liver?
The liver is more for like toxicity. It changes toxicities from fat soluble to water soluble, and then that goes through the kidneys.
So it filters.
And the kidneys help finish with that last step of detox.
So first goes through the liver, or first goes through the kidney?
Goes through the liver first, and there's actually phase 1 and phase 2, and those two steps change fat soluble toxins into water soluble. Now, but there's issues with that, and so another factor can be some people genetically have a difficult time converting that second step. And so, matter of fact, if the intermediate, the phase 1 changes it into actually a nasty chemical that the liver has to get rid of. And if the liver doesn't do phase 2 correctly, now you're going to get liver or kidney damage. So toxins are very important.
Then you get kidney damage?
That's another way to get kidney damage.
Not liver damage.
Correct.
What? It protects itself and it hurts the kidney?
No, it's just trying to get rid of the chemicals, but if it can't do that,
then the kidney can
it's going to go through the kidneys. It's going to go through the kidneys no matter what. But that intermediate chemical is more like a cancer causing, kidney causing, kidney damage causing, or all kinds of things. And so that's why detox, and we've been talking about that quite a bit, about detoxing, getting rid of toxic chemicals is very important. Yes, question?
So when we talk about detoxing too quickly and mobilizing toxins in the body that the liver can't get out of us as quickly as are being mobilized in our body, so we start to hurt. Does that then hurt the kidneys?
Yes, it could. Yeah. So matter of fact, I have some clients that they cannot lose weight because of the toxin load. And so when you burn fat, you release toxins that are stored in the fat. Those toxins could have been 20 or 30 years ago.
A lot of people that have mold toxicity, when they lose weight, they feel really bad because they were holding.
Yes, that's right. Yep. And so, and I see that all the time. I've actually seen people feel bad, look bad, complexion, whatever, from losing weight because they're releasing those toxins and their liver and the kidneys aren't able to get rid of them fast enough. So yes, you can lose too much weight too fast.
That happened to me.
And yeah, it can happen. It sure can.
So like GLP-1, that could be one of the side effects, is because that is all about rapid weight loss. So the GLP products that could really
blood glucose. People are losing eyesight. All this stuff.
Yeah, several things exactly.
And when I detox too fast, I get mast cell activation.
Yes.
I get really bad. So I slow down.
There's some intermediate chemicals that are being released, with that. And if you can't get rid of those, some of those are more like an allergy type. In that response, and then your body makes natural antihistamines like cortisol, and if you can't make enough of it, now you're going to feel that effect.
Yeah.
And what are your symptoms of MCAS?
I get really bloated. I get just like really bad, like my belly's like this big.
Okay.
All sorts of
gut
weird
issues.
stuff. Like I feel uncomfortable
Because I'll get the swelling in the hands and it gets
Oh,
very
yes,
painful.
I do
Yeah,
too.
This is very painful.
In the
You
hands
might
and,
repeat
and
what
right
they're
here.
saying.
Yeah, so talking about at the table, they're talking about side effects of like weight loss and some histamine issues, but like swelling in the body, and it could be, we notice it in the joints because the joints are starting to get achy, and so it can happen in different places, definitely.
And I get that in the sauna if I stay in too long, because apparently that's probably from mobilization of too many toxins at that point. I can't keep up.
I don't know. Yeah, it could be an issue. That's right. So no matter what the procedure or I say procedure or therapy or treatment, if it's going too fast, it could be a problem.
Yeah.
Like that. And so, so the sauna, you could lose. I mean, definitely my heart rate gets up. It is exercise. I'm just sitting there, but let me tell you, it is exercise. I'm burning a lot of calories because my heart rate's going real fast. So, so I am burning a lot more calories and burning fat, therefore, because I'm also doing it in a fasting state. So my heart is actually operating off of, ketones and so is my brain. So we do have to be careful about that. Pay attention to symptoms and back off, and or take things to help the liver to function better. And I have some clients that's the only way they can actually lose weight is by supporting the liver function and detoxing.
With liver enzymes or milk thistle?
No, it's more like NAC
Oh,
and
okay.
amino acids and protein amino
I'll
acids.
take those, okay.
Yeah, to help the liver with that.
He's doing everything he can not to say peptide.
So
And
I don't know enough
peptides
about
too.
peptides.
That's
Yeah.
what they are, short chain amino
Yeah,
acids.
so,
Oh, amino acids are peptides?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
It's
that.
protein, they're amino acids. But
Okay, cool.
So proteins are turned into amino acids, and then also in some of those proteins are also what are called peptides. So, for example, collagen. It
You
used to
should
be
make
collagen
a protein shake full of peptides.
Well, so collagen. Well, there are peptides just naturally available in proteins. Okay, so that's actually. I have some people that definitely some of the most unhealthy people that I know are actually vegans that are not doing it right, and so they're not getting enough protein. And part of the problem is they may not be digesting it right because vegetable protein's a little more difficult to digest and get those nutrients
Yes,
out.
like I can process meat protein, and I really struggle. I did a test. I really struggle to process vegetable protein.
Yes, meat protein is more dense.
I can do that.
Exactly on that. Okay, so I'm gonna answer a couple questions and before we need to go. But so, what food and exercises reduce PSA after prostate removal? So actually, it's more of a ketogenic type diet, and then resistance exercise maximizes time. With that. So whether it be you're using your body like push-ups, calisthenics, to weightlifting. So any type of exercise is good. Actually, for men, the one exercise that we have to be a little more careful about is actually long distance bicycle riding. And so, and actually my urologist is wanting me to be a little more careful before I get a blood test for PSA about my horseback riding, because pounding this area might be creating some inflammation. And so, I'll figure that out over the years, and
Yeah, the bike just doesn't. It's for too long, right?
Yeah,
I think
exactly,
we just do it for too long.
Exactly.
It's just not good for
I
you.
have a new client, and so I was talking with the other day, and so actually he rides his bicycle with his sons every day, and so he's just like, oh no. And I said, it's okay. I said, just be careful about how much,
Yeah.
and you need to stand up a little bit more on those pedals, and don't let that seat pound you.
Yeah.
With that, don't create that. So any restriction to use curcumin and methylene blue? Well, there's always going to be restrictions, with those, but curcumin does have some anticoagulant actions. We have to make sure you get enough of it. Methylene blue, we have to be careful about people taking opiate pain medications and antidepressants. Those are some definite interactions that can occur. Is taking pure oxygen from a pressurized bottle good to follow up using a hyperbaric chamber?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Number 3.
Oh, well, oxygen's good. I mean, oxygen's always good. Understand pressure is better. I mean, it's the pressure that creates the therapy that we're doing. We used to have an oxygen clinic, and we just saw so many benefits of doing hyperbaric air. We saw nothing against it. Everybody goes, what's the difference in oxygen and air? And all I can fall back on is it's the pressure. When we're doing hyperbaric air in here, we're going a little deeper than we usually do on hyperbaric oxygen. And that creates an elevated oxygen content because you're compressing the atmosphere. So it's not like we're not doing oxygen. At 52 feet, we're at 52% oxygen because we've compressed the atmosphere.
Okay.
So, but anytime you do oxygen, a lot of people carry an oxygen bottle when they go to Colorado and they go hiking. They're afraid of running out of air, and it does keep you refreshed a little bit. But they used to have oxygen bars. Everybody went to the oxygen bars, and
thing, wasn't it?
I don't know. Do you get a buzz? I never did those. I didn't know if you ever got a buzz from that. But anyway, oxygen's good. There's nothing bad about oxygen, but it's the pressure that we deal with.
Concentrate on. Okay. And then, what's your opinion about nicotine patches? We talked about that today. In the chamber, and so nicotine may have some benefits. The amount of research is actually limited, and human trials are not existent. I'm glad they mentioned patches. That's versus the smoking. That's a burnt chemical, so that's not worth looking at. And then patches. And I'm not a fan of the gum either. So.
Well, I was getting ready to say I had a client go and get gum after a dive one day, and she was coming back to do a second dive. I didn't think she was going to make it in the door. She watched that video of Dr. Artis, and he says a 7 milligram patch, and you cut it in thirds.
Okay, start low dose,
a starting point.
Slow and low.
She went and got a piece of 34 milligram gum because she was at level 1. Well, that was level 1 coming the backwards. That means you just quit smoking 2 packs a day.
Yeah, okay.
So you start at level 1, and that's what she misread. So y'all, when you go out there and start looking at nicotine, it really was serious for her. She got really, really sick.
Right.
So don't take that lightly. Anyway, pay attention.
Okay. And then another question. So nicotine, perhaps. I'm not, ready to say no, but there is some research, but we need more information. So I think now I think the bottle's been opened, and I think we'll learn more about it.
Well, mine was all the people I'm talking about. It was to respond to the virus.
Yeah. So there's other
it wasn't
uses.
cancer.
That's right. Other uses for it besides cancer. And then also somebody read about a blog that I've got actually about avocados and hormone cancer, about breast cancer. So avocados actually contain a chemical and that our body makes other hormones from. And there's a question, and actually a couple of studies, 2 different studies showing that women that eat a high amount of avocados might have a greater risk of breast cancer. And so that's another, it's really frustrating because now we have 2 studies showing a concern, but then nobody else is doing anything about it. It has to do with the person and the area that they live in and their bacteria gut balance. And so the gut bacteria is taking these chemicals and making other hormones from it. So we don't know. It seems to be primarily in women. The men, actually, it's a healthcare study, nurses, the men didn't seem to have any cancer concerns, but then women did.
I just saw a video the other day, and they were talking about the problem with avocados is when they oxidize. So, like an apple, when that avocado turns too ripe,
almost instantly.
When it goes the other way, if you leave it setting out for an hour, it's going to turn brown. So it's the oxidation that they were in this video talking about that was the downer. Don't let that avocado sit around and oxidize and then consume it.
Yeah.
Because now you're consuming something that may not be as healthy.
You put lemon juice on it to keep it from and the lemon juice has the antioxidants that repair the avocado. Okay. And so same thing with apples. I wonder, apples turn brown real quick, and so do potatoes. And so because they don't have any antioxidants in them. So we got to be sure we try to get more things in like that. So I try to explain the avocado thing. It's a risk. Matter of fact, we made guacamole last night. Okay. I still eat them. I'm not necessarily willing to eat it every single day. moderation, I think, is a wiser thing to do. Also, like to try to go with organic whenever possible. Limit those.
Do you ever
chemicals.
store avocados? Something I learned in the restaurant industry. You put it in a glass dish, and you put Saran wrap against. And I know you're microplastics. I don't want to go there, but you put that plastic
You
against
lost him on the saran wrap.
the avocado so it can't oxidize. If
Right.
you're going to put any in the fridge,
Yes, right.
don't ever do that without putting something right on the avocado.
Well, there's also some outgassing chemicals, ethylene oxide,
right.
from fruits and vegetables that affect that type of thing too. So, and somebody said, beware to take off the wax coating off of peel of lemon and limes. They say food grade wax, but that's not good enough. So yes, so we want to be careful and try to be careful about waxes that are on fruits and vegetables and the peel coatings that are on fruits and vegetables, unless you go to a store that they definitely say that they're not buying that. Those are some waxes that keep that from turning dark and going bad for a long period of time. So we do want to be careful about that. What's my opinion of honey? I think honey can be okay, but we have to be careful about the quantity. And so if it's a real honey, like a local honey, you know where it's coming from. I love that. I've got one of my clients from locally, she gives me honey all the time, and I know who it's coming from. And then what temperature do you set your sauna to in centigrade? I don't know what that is, but I'll let you do the adjustment. But my sauna goes up to 135, which is not great, but it's a little cheapy tent sauna that I sit in. But if you get a wooden one, typically those are going to be a little better, and they'll get up to 150 degrees. And so, and I'll let you convert that in centigrade. So I don't know what that is. So,
We at a
okay.
stopping point?
A stopping point.
Looks like we're at a stopping point. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in 15 minutes late.
Yeah, sorry
We're
about
gonna
that.
we're
Sorry,
gonna
we didn't say
adjust
that.
our
Sorry.
chamber time for next week. But I'm Paul with Hyperbaric Plus, and Keith is a wealth of knowledge. I'm telling you, just following blood work, I'm getting ready to send you all my
Okay,
blood
good.
panels, and I'm going to be a customer. I just got them done,
Okay, good.
and so that'll be my baseline, and that's what I need is guidance. I mean, I hate trying to guess this all on my own.
Right.
So again, come see us at Hyperbaric Plus, get in the chamber. Keith
Great.
with Prevail Over Cancer. And you got any closing
No,
statements?
that's it. Assess and don't guess.
That's it. There you go. Well, I appreciate it, Keith. Thank you all for
Okay,
joining
thank
us.
you.
How are you feeling, mate?